Second story I have, Zelensky. What is his comments with all of this? Well, he says that this situation with Wagner shows the stupidity of Russia. I'm going to read you his quote. It's a bit complicated. Again, you can find it in the description box below. If you're watching this as a separate video, sources description box below. I don't have a lot of time because I'm moving right now out of France, ironically. I want to show you guys what Zelensky is saying and why is he saying what he's saying. But he's essentially, his comments are on Twitter. It's his actual Twitter account, 7 million followers, been confirmed by The Hill. And he's going to be discussing how this is a representation of the internal conflict and what Putin's scared of. Very interesting. Here's what he says, quote, "For a long time, Russia used propaganda to mask its weaknesses and stupidity of its government. And now there's so much chaos that no lie can hide it. And all of this is one person who again and again scares by the year 1917. I believe he meant is scared by the year 1917, which I'll get into in a second. Although he is able to result in nothing else but this." Okay. Is it true? Of course. Of course it's true. Now, why does Zelensky say Putin is scared of 1917? Well, because Putin himself has mentioned continually the year 1917. What happened in 1917? Well, before I get to that, let me read you what Putin said, and then I'll get to that. I need more context. Quote, he's discussing the Wagner Group. "It's a stab in the back of our country and our people. Exactly this strike, the Wagner Group, was dealt in 1917 when the country was in World War I, but its victory was stolen." Another quote, "Intrigues and arguments behind the army's back turned out to be the greatest catastrophe, destruction of the army and the state, loss of huge territories resulting in tragedy and civil war." So what happened in 1917 that he's referenced now, he's referenced in the past. Zelensky said, look, he's scared because it's like 1917. This shows there's turmoil like there was then. So 1917, Putin is comparing himself to the situation of Tsar Nicholas II. Tsar Nicholas II was fighting in World War I. There was an internal upheaval that would not allegedly, it would eventually turn into the Bolshevik Revolution that would be led by Lenin and the creation of the Soviet Union, which would eventually fall, and obviously Putin would take power after that. So he's comparing his situation with World War I. He claims that, like Tsar Nicholas II, who failed in World War I as a result of internal upheaval between competing powers vying for influence, similarly he's saying that Russia might lose the Ukraine war as a result of the Wagner Group's irresponsibility. What was really interesting about this is that even though the Bolshevik Revolution, I am not an expert at this, but I do know a little bit about it. The Bolshevik Revolution, right? Individuals rose up against the government. Now, Putin tried to control as many aspects of the Russian government as possible to at least minimize the amount of leverage that a group could have against him if they were to rise up as a revolution. So it's not exactly apples to apples comparison, but what he has done throughout his political career to ensure that something like this doesn't happen was he would take his childhood friends, individuals he has relationships with, and he would put them at the top of industries. So instead of having billionaires that he would have to be friends with, he had friends that who he made into billionaires, one of which was Yevgeny, who allegedly was one of the individuals who had worked at the restaurant and the catering service for Kremlin, and somehow transitioned into the orators or the creators or the managers of the Wagner Group. And you might be wondering, why would Yevgeny, who is a food service worker, why would he be the one chosen for military affairs? Unless something was a front. Maybe the food service was a front. Regardless, Putin had put him in power because he was believed to be trusted. Now, this isn't the first time Putin had done this, like I'd said. There's other individuals, Arkady Rottenberg, who he was an old friend and judo partner of Putin, who ended up creating the bridge to Crimea, multi-billion-dollar enterprise. This guy was a multi-billionaire construction worker because of Putin. You have other people as well, Sergei Chemezov, who eventually controlled the private military industries. Allegedly, he had connections with Putin during the KGB. And you have Igor Sechin. I probably butchered all these names. I apologize. He is the CEO of the state-owned company Rosneft. They're the ones that control the oil in Russia. So these are things that he had done to try to control the different industries that could give teeth to any sort of revolution. Again, the Bolshevik Revolution was a little different, but the concerns that he had about 1917 are the concerns that he's worried about for himself today. And what we've seen is that when people try to turn on him, he unalives them. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, so I'm going to keep saying unalived. He does unalive them. So do we think Yevgeny has any sort of way of surviving this? I don't see how he would, frankly. Because even if he's in the Belarusian government, which they're friends with Putin, you don't think Putin's going to want to take his hat off as a representation, an example? He's already unalived the other oligarchs, so, well, not all of them, a lot of them. Why wouldn't he do the same with Yevgeny? I think I keep saying Yevgeny. So look, man, Putin's greatest fear, do I think it's going to ever happen? No. Do I think he's right to be scared? Yes. Is Zelensky correct that this is a good representation of all the political turmoil that's going on that is repressed by the media and also shines a light on what Putin's actually scared of? Yeah. Let's see what happens to Yevgeny.